E aí pessoal, beleza? Bom, hoje tô aqui para mais um vídeo da série de Genshin Impact. Vamos continuar, né? Se você quiser ver essa série desde o início, eu vou deixar um card aqui em cima, né? E, se puder, se inscrever no canal e ativar o sininho, ajuda demais, beleza pessoal? É o seguinte galera, no vídeo de ontem, deixa eu só pausar aqui ó. No vídeo de ontem, estávamos no meio da missão do Cyno, né? E teve um corte aí porque chegamos no tempo do vídeo ideal. Só que eu continuei gravando, aí deu 2 horas de vídeo. Então o que eu fiz? Eu cortei. Então vai ter um corte aqui nesse vídeo agora, onde nós vamos exatamente continuar de onde paramos no vídeo de ontem, tá bom? Então vai ter um corte aí, vamos seguir lá na missão do Cyno, beleza? Cara, tá ligado? Calmo. Tá nem aí. Tem alguém ali. Bom, acho que a gente pode ir, né? Quem será o chefe? Ou o tanto de livro? Quer ver que é o velhinho?
Grandfather, the person you wish to see is here.
Well done, Sethos.
Não. Babu.
Greetings, one and all. I am Ba Moon, the current leader of the Temple of Silence. I know why you are here.
Professor!
Cyrus, are you okay?
Watch what you're doing!
Oh, my apologies. We have no intention of causing you distress. But you must understand, Cyrus is of great importance to us. Cyrus owes me his life, and to the Temple of Silence, he owes a debt of gratitude. I let him...
I wanted to end my feud with this old bag of bones before you caught up with me. Just leave, Cyno. This is a matter between us two old men. You're all too young.
So that's why you didn't want to report the letter. You'd made up your mind to come here from the beginning. You only left in such a hurry to try and throw us off your
Some things in life catch up with you. No matter what you do, you shouldn't have come.
Cyno didn't make us do anything. We came here for the same reason he did. To rescue you. We'd appreciate you telling us the truth. Otherwise, it seems a little unfair.
My secrets are secret for good reason. Bringing them to light can...
You're afraid, aren't you? You can't bring yourself to speak of your past deeds to the students you nurtured as if they were your own. You recognized our emblem because for many years you lived among us. You knew as soon as you saw the letter that we, not Uraka, were the ones speaking to you. It threatened you only because you know what you did. Your own guilt convicted you. For you, Cyrus, are a traitor. You once shared your learning with us, and joined us in our mission to revive the might of Hermanubis, to bring new hope. But then you betrayed us. You bargained for your independence with your past contributions. And then you We both know what I said to you that day. That as the leader, I grant you permission to leave, but that one day, the sands of time will catch up with you. And when that day comes, you must pay the price you owe.
You really know how to hold it.
Hermanubis' might? And the wielder of his power?
É o Cyno, né? Que ele tem o poder do Hermanubis aí, né?
Does he mean you?
É isso aí.
Professor.
The moon is right. I came here. He rescued me from the brink of death once, many years ago in the desert. When he learned that I was a scholar, he invited... It was a great, daring plan, and one shrouded in secrecy. Bamoon proposed that we implant bar fragments, shards of Hermanubis, into the bodies of suitable vessels. If the experiment was successful, the spirit of Hermanubis, many believers volunteered themselves for the experiment. But we soon discovered that the bodies of grown adults, one other child was identified as a suitable vessel, and his parents agreed to release him into our custody in exchange for a small fortune.
Crianças foram vendidas.
These two children were our only hope for hosting Hermanubis' power.
Provavelmente uma delas é o Cyno. Cyno foi vendido em um louco. Não sei quem era a outra.
For many years, the Temple of Silence had been in possession of 2 Ba fragments from Hermanubis. As the test subjects were sent into a room that had been prepared for the ceremony and instructed to approach the Ba fragments, whose power had been amplified. If, after some time, this power didn't... The original plan was for a 3-stage experiment. Resonance, implantation, and recovery and observation. As the second stage began, I realized a decision had to be made. Should we implant the fragments one at a time? This would allow us to monitor the results after the first round and adjust our plan accordingly. Or but as I was deliberating, both Ba fragments suddenly became active. They glowed with a light we had never seen before. I knew that if they were not implanted right away, they would disintegrate and be gone from the world. For our 2 vessels had both displayed great promise by successfully resonating with the fragments. Under the circumstances, the thought of implanting both to preserve our faith and our power, we implanted each of them with a single
Ultimately, I ended the experiment and left.
Cyno.
In recognition of your past contributions, I chose not to send someone to hunt down and kill you both. Your lives were spared, but I have paid a great price for your betrayal ever since.
Talvez a outra criança é o cara ali, o garoto ali, Eletro.
I have always wanted to see you, Cyno. Losing you and your Ba
I see. So that's how I gained my power.
Look, in essence, I borrowed your Ba fragment for a decade or so. And now you are seeking justice. But you cannot lift a finger against Cyno. He is the General Mahamatra.
I'm sure you don't remember anymore, dear Cyno, but you've met us all before. You were so young then, when we all, you and he, Sethos, you were our final hope.
Ele é o outro cara que tá com o outro fragmento.
You'd like me to return my power?
As a follower of Hermanubis, I have allowed this power to remain in the rainforest for far too long. Now, it is time to reclaim it.
That power is not yours to reclaim.
You are wrong. Cyno was chosen, but he was not the only one. My child, Sethos, has the same gift as he.
So those are your terms for freeing the professor?
Despise me all you want. My sins are my own. The Temple of Silence is an innocent party. It is because of my foolishness all those years ago that the temple's...
So what you're saying is, the power of 1 Ba fragment is not enough? You're asking me to return the one in my possession, so it can...
Divine power causes great suffering to those who wield it. How do you...
He is no longer a small child. But regardless, this burden is ours to bear. And you're...
Both my heart and mind are telling me that what you are proposing is a terrible...
Don't listen to him, Cyno. That power is no more...
I know. But if this is a question of your freedom versus a...
Sorry to interrupt, but in my view, there are a number of contentions here that still need addressing. Say that Cyno refuses to return his power, and you also refuse to release Cyrus. Then, we are at an impasse. I find it hard to believe that you went to all this effort with... You're trying to gauge where we stand while keeping your remaining cards close to your chest. Well, my stance is, put the rest of your cards...
Wait, those ears... So... We have a descendant of the Valukashuna in our midst. Everything we have longed for, Hermanubis will provide. Perhaps
Cara, não vai dar certo pra tu não, tá bom? Vai morrer. Ó, caiu. Caiu fedendo. Cachaça.
Why is he coughing so much?
A condição é crítica. Ele deve estar se forçando a parecer forte. A vista dele também deve estar ruim. Caso contrário, teria reparado nas orelhas imediatamente. Verdade?
Pamoon, you...
Take our leader back to his room. Grandfather, I know what you wish to say.
Vai tretar, meu parceiro? O que você vai
I like to
arrumar?
drag out conversations, so I'll just cut to the chase.
Fala
Did
então.
Cyrus not stop the experiment all those years ago? The plan would most likely have been a success. Still, it's no use talking about what ifs. We cannot change the past. I'm not like my grandfather. The Temple of Silence has a grand legacy and a sacred duty to fulfill. But I see things a little differently. I don't believe the temple has the same stature that it once did. Time has worn away at its... So I'm not going to force your hand. You're all free to leave. Except for Cyrus.
You have courage and wise judgment, kid. I truly wish that the temple would take an objective look at the academia of today, and things will only continue to improve. Why not consider cooperating?
If you hadn't betrayed my grandfather, I might well be open to...
Tainari made a good point earlier. He said there has to be more to your plan than all you and Ba Moon are after is the Ba fragment. The professor will accept whatever fate you deem fit for him out of a sense of guilt. Ultimately, you want to trade the Ba fragment for the professor.
I'm glad to see you're giving it some serious consideration.
I won't forsake my professor, nor do I intend to run from a problem
That works. Oh, my grandfather still has a fair few things he wants to say to Cyrus.
Acho que não tem nem o que pensar. Vamos acabar com todo
Sure
mundo.
about negotiating with him?
No soco.
I need to think this through. Everyone, let's meet again later tonight.
Alright, well, don't put too much pressure on yourself, Cyno. If you need any help working things out, just...
Tá. Espere até a noite. Então, não sei se vai dar tempo. Eu queria já poder terminar essa missão. Eu acho que a gente tá perto do final dela, né? Vamos tentar terminar hoje, então. Então, espere até a noite. 8 horas. Aqui. Né? Eu acho que a gente tá próximo do fim. Escuta com seus companheiros. É aqui dentro? Pronto, vamos ver. O grupo se encontra no horário marcado.
I've taken some time to reflect on this. If I had to guess, Professor Cyrus came to the desert knowing that he would almost certainly... He's a stubborn man who tends to double down when he feels strongly about something.
I agree. My master Nephis says the same thing. Once Cyrus...
So that's one thing. You've heard all you need to hear about the Temple of Silence. So on that, my own memories of this place are hazy, though. Probably something to do with the overpowering presence of the Ba fragments. That might explain why I suffered from... I do remember having some fleeting moments of profound emotion when vague images would appear in my mind. But I don't recall much. I was still young then, and all I could understand was that there was a strong will inside my mind. Thinking back on it now, I suppose it was the power that came to inhabit my spirit was probably one of the cornerstones of their whole faith. So if the will and might of Hermanubis is a real, intangible thing...
You're not gonna give in to their demands, are you? Surely there has to be another way.
Deve haver outra maneira.
I have no intention of returning it. I need this power to protect Sumeru. But the temple has the right to make the final decision over its fate, so I will challenge them head on, and win the right to wield this power for myself, fair and square.
Ô, louco, ele quer o poder do cara agora.
This reminds me of something Alhaitham mentioned to me just before we left. He said that the Temple of Silence was originally founded by the... Kaveh has made similar observations about the desert tribes from his work trips there. He says many of them have their own internal rules. They talk about the importance of never dishonoring their tribal bonds, or the rules laid down. I think we could turn that to our advantage. Go back to them with a proposal.
Wow, and just like that.
Looks like we have the same idea. Turn it back on them now while we still can, in terms that they cannot refuse.
Parece bom.
Great. And I know just how to start the conversation. Let's go find Sethos. We'll tell...
Fale com os Sethos.
The wind rises.
Tá aqui dentro.
Sethos.
Have you made up your mind?
We'll get to that, but first, I have some degree of medical training, so I was
I have no objections, although we do have our own doctors here. I doubt...
only...
Follow me. Keep your voices down. We don't...
Diário tira seu kit médico e realiza o exame.
Let's talk outside. Bamoon has fallen into a deep coma, and his prognosis is quite grave. He appears to have sustained a serious injury in his youth, which has been exacerbated over the years by the heavy... Regretfully, I must inform you that, based on what I've seen with patients in a similar...
Yeah.
You're his heir, aren't you? You clearly have a lot of respect for the man. But you also see things differently. You have a broader range of concerns and a more... So tell me how we can end this on your terms. Let's find a way to bring all this to a resolution while Bamoon is still alive to see it.
Yeah, there's no time to waste here. You know that better than anyone.
You know, the two of you are actually in a very similar predicament right now. Both of you have a very...
Right. And you didn't create this situation. They did, but somehow you've ended up having to make the tough decisions.
You're right. We both look at this problem very differently than the people... I accept, Cyno. This all began because of Hermanubis. Legend has it that when Hermanubis first arrived in Tuletula, he sparred with the city's residents. He and his two companions proved their mettle by that group of supporters were some of the first members of the Temple of Silence. And the sparring matches...
Sounds very fitting.
Olha o duelo aí, ó.
As a fellow vessel of Hermanubis, your ties to the Temple of Silence run deep. So I will permit you to participate in this.
3 against 3.
However, I have some additional terms. As the challengers, you must win all 3 of your fights to win. Letting Cyrus leave with one of the Ba fragments was a mistake, made by my grandfather out of pity. It is a long-standing issue that must be addressed for the...
None needed. If I win, the Temple of Silence must release Cyrus. If you win,
It's a deal. Then let's meet at the ceremonial hall.
Treta. Fale com o Cyno.
Well, after how that went, there's definitely no turning back.
There never was. Turning back hasn't been an option for me since the moment the professor slipped.
You have to win. You need this power, both as General Mahamatra and...
Yeah, that's right. Besides, it stayed with you ever since you were a small child. Surely that's a sign it thinks of you as its right...
Both as General Mahamatra Yeah, when you put it that way, I've had to overcome a lot to tame this power and claim it for myself. Not everyone could have done that.
Exactly.
Não vamos nos desviar, temos que focar e ganhar.
The Traveler and I will never lose.
And neither shall I. The desert was home to an ancient and great civilization that, for a variety of reasons, fell out with the civilization of the rainforest. But there must be personal factors at work here too. I can't shake the feeling that Bamoon cares for many more things than he lets on. And I don't think that Sethos is any kind of villain. He's just...
Dia seguinte, 8 horas. Vamos lá. Vai ter muito corte desse vídeo, tá, galera? Muito corte. E parece que estamos próximos do final da missão, né? Então, se o Cyno ganhar, o cara é libertado. Se o Cyno perder, ele perde o poder. Vamos ver. Vai para o salão cerimonial. É pra cá, né? Tá ali já, ó.
We gather on this day to perform once more the rite of duels with the greatest of all sages, Lord Herman. This is our most sacred of ceremonies, and no disruption. Representing the Temple of Silence.
Grandfather, you're here.
A rite of duels after all these years.
I know what I'm doing, Grandfather.
Representing the Academia, the Challengers.
Ready. We will fight to have our voices heard.
Warriors, take your positions. We come not to debate what brings our challengers here, nor what will become of the defeated duelists. Duelists.
Eu vou primeiro.
Huh? Are you sure?
Sim, queremos manter nossa moral
I
alta.
agree. He's very strong. Sending him out first will definitely intimidate the opposing side.
Okay, then you're second.
Sure.
We have decided.
So have we. Let's be...
Duelists of the first bout, please step forward.
Deixa comigo.
Don't forget, safety first! Hey, you there! You better play nice with them or Paimon will make you regret it!
A little bit too much chatter from the audience over there.
Essas habilidades são as habilidades do viajante dentro. Primeira vez que eu tô usando. Tá aí.
Swift end to the first bout. I now invite the duelists of... When you're both ready, you may...
Let's begin.
Bora.
Watch out!
Go, Canary, go!
He drank plenty of water before the bout, so he should be fine.
Calma, Tinhari. Eu tenho você, mas nunca parei pra usar, então. Tem que me acostumar.
Let's nip that in the bud.
Não morre, cara.
One with the force.
Calma.
Can't see? I hear everything.
Usei certinho, vocês viram?
One with the force. Keep up. Can't see?
Pronto. Parece que deu certo.
Thus ends the second bout. We will now move to the third.
I'm ready.
So am I.
This is the final stage of the rite. I remind you both, when you're both...
I am Sethos, vessel of Hermanubis, grandson of Bamu. For many years, we have kept our covenant with Lord Hermanubis by guarding the secrets of King Deshret. And even in our darkest hour, when we could not see a way forward, we earnestly sought Lord Hermanubis' wisdom and power, longing to see his spirit and his light. Now, I will fight to become the...
I am Cyno, General Mahamatra of the Academia, student and successor of Cyrus, the Sage of Spontamod. I fight in defense of my power, my professor, and you. I think you left some things unsaid. This is a sacred duel, and Hermanubis is what?
Everyone, old and young, fit. My grandfather is a wise leader. He is also known to be a ruler who is not afraid to get blood on his hands. But our faith has held us back for too long. After I grew up, times have changed. The people of Sumeru are happier and more free now than in the past. I thought about this. Then I thought of you, Cyno. You and I both wield the same power. Yet the lives we lead, each Ba fragment of Hermanubis stands for something different. Might. I once thought that the nature of our fragments must be what makes us so different from one another. But maybe it's that you've found your answer.
I am more than just a warrior. I am my...
Exactly.
The name Hermanubis has left its mark on both of us, shaped the course of our lives. So show me your answer, Cyno. Show me I can be more than my faith, more than the power I wield. Bring it on!
Bora. Eita. Ô, louco. Nossa, atingiu, hein?
That's all you've got. What happened is searching for your answer.
Ih, pegou o espadão. Ih, já era, vai bater. Toma.
Fight's over. Do you yield?
You won.
Well then, looks like you found your answer.
I give his glory to you.
I've seen that light. That is the light of our Lord, the great Hermanubis, priest over all other priests. His spirit dwells within that lightning, and his will lives on. Once a warrior of Tynar, he emerged from the barren desert sands to serve the god king Al-Ahmar. After the death of the god king, Hermanubis gathered his followers and the Tynarian priests and led them to the city of Tula. There, they founded the Temple of Silence, and from that day forth, we became stewards of all knowledge that survived from King Deshret's civilization. Barely a century passed before war ravaged the desert. One by one, Eremite leaders took up arms against each other in battles that would devour what little remained of their civilization. Only the wise city of Tula was spared under the guiding hand of the Tynarians. But peace did not last. Coveting the knowledge of King Deshret, the beasts set their eyes on Tula. The king of Gurabad laid siege to the city and ordered the sages to surrender to him the Temple of Silence as proof of his victory. The ruling elite colluded with their oppressors, betraying the temple so as to hold on to their rule over the city. They declared that the knowledge guarded by the temple was the true cause of corruption. These were dark days, and we faced enemies on all sides. Our Lord had long since exhausted his strength, keeping the forbidden knowledge introduced by King Deshret at bay. To ensure the temple's continued survival, he broke his being into many pieces and began the ceremony of Hermanubis' legacy, bestowing his power upon his mortal followers. With this power, the temple was able to defeat the tyrant's army. Yet, we were not hailed as heroes. Strange and unfamiliar as this power was, it struck fear into the people's hearts and drove them to reject us. In the end, the people of the temple and the Tula Tynarians left the city for good and made their way to the rainforest. What followed next was inevitable. The elite of Tula fell and were decimated. War engulfed the desert. And we wandered from place to place, always in hiding, all the while keeping close watch over our secrets and staying true to our mission. Betrayal forced us out of the desert and into the forest. Then mistrust drove us from the forest into the desert once more. We have lived in exile for far, far too long. Yet, today, the Temple of Silence has borne witness to the glory of Hermanubis once more. Thank you.
Mas tipo, o Cyno ficou mais forte agora, né? Ou não?
How is it? Do you feel okay?
Morreu. Bom, ele viu o que aconteceu, né? O desejo dele se realizou. Cutscene foi maneira, hein? Batalha top. Você, Sethos e os outros membros do templo dão adeus a Balmung. No grande salão, as pessoas se juntam em volta do caixão.
Hey, Sethos. You'll get through this.
I know. I just...
Meus pêsames.
I guess you were prepared for this. It's been a long...
Yeah, he's been on death's door for a very long time now. I think at least he was able to see this chapter come to a close.
What's
Com
next for
certeza.
you?
Per my grandfather's last wishes, the Temple of Silence should submit to whoever possesses the largest number of Hermanubis fragments.
But that's never going to work, as I'm sure you realize. I'm the General Mahamat. I did foresee this possibility, and I gave it some thought. The fact is, I know next to nothing about the staff, Sethos. I believe the honor should go
Também
to you.
concordo.
Were it not for this duel, or indeed if you had other intentions, the Ba fragments would most likely be in your hands by now. I'm sure Bamun never meant for anyone but you to be his successor. I do.
Still, I didn't think Bamun looked very surprised by the final result. Perhaps he had an inkling that this would be the way...
Well, in any case, since the Ba fragments are with me now, I guess I can... Sethos, I would like you to succeed Bamun as the new leader of the Temple of Silence. You are more suited to the role than I, and I have
But doesn't that render everything that we've been through up to now?
No, it doesn't. This experience has allowed us to become friends, which means that the academia, and that's a much bigger deal than you might think, Sethos. You said yourself, times have changed. You have to believe that things can change for the better here at the temple too.
I will try. To be honest,
Actually, part of me wonders whether Bamun's intentions from the very beginning was just to create enough pressure to force us towards a duel. That way, no matter who won, one of us would have to surrender our Ba fragment, and the power of Hermanubis would
Mas
be concentrated
isso eu
in
já tô
one single
ligado, hein?
person.
O velho não é bobo não. O velho que morreu. Não importa o resultado da luta, ia acontecer o que ele queria. Né? Não importava o resultado da luta.
Had you won, the Temple of Silence would have doubled its strength. And were I to win, he correctly anticipated that I wouldn't suddenly drop everything to become the leader of the temple. He knew that the temple's future would depend not just on the guidance of Hermanubis, but the support of the academia too. So he made it. His plan meant that whoever ended up succeeding him, they would have an easier time interacting with the academia. With one single letter, he lured out the professor.
and here I thought the General Mahamatra wouldn't care for all these trivial details. You're absolutely right. Grandfather and I considered this from every angle. We had to find a way to mend our relationship with the academia. Thank you for everything, Cyno. As a gesture of our gratitude, to those that you and Lesser Lord Kusanali deem worthy, I will grant the honor of... The Temple of Silence has a wealth of information on King Deshret's civilization, more than any other organization in existence today. In times when you need information that only... But you must be exceedingly careful with your selection of candidates, lest you lead humanity to repeat this. By the way, Tainari, my grandfather was so happy to see you. You are a descendant. The story goes that King Deshret chose the sage Hermanubis from among the Tainarians. He went on to fight many valiant battles with his Tainarian companions. They always stood by each other, From the founding of the Temple of Silence, the Tainarians who left Tuletula joined their human counterparts in the rainforest. A few centuries later, when some of the group returned to the desert, many of the Tainarians chose to stay and put down roots in the rainforest. In all likelihood, those were your ancestors.
How fascinating. My father once mentioned that I was named after the Tainarians, but I never knew that my forebears had such a history with the Temple of Silence.
I like this story.
By the way, has anyone seen Cyrus?
Yes, Cyrus. You'll probably find him in my grandfather's room. He wouldn't show it in front of me, but
If it's true that you and your grandfather really planned for everything to turn out this way, then I guess he didn't really resent Cyrus as much as he appeared to.
who knows? Perhaps all of us. You, me, and Cyrus. We're all just
Someone's got to make the decisions when history is at a crossroad. I will make a detailed report on all of this to Lesser Lord Kusanali, and arrange for an official delegation from the... I'm sure you'll have lots to attend to in the days ahead. But once things return to normal, please come and visit the rainforest again. You should stay for a few days if we're going to work together. Both sides have to get to...
I will. All right, well...
See you soon. Come hang out with us anytime.
Boa sorte. Vai ter que encontrar o Sethos, não? Retorne para a academia. Ei, foi mal, cara. Voador. Apertei o botão errado. Osvaldo quis aparecer. Vamos lá. Acho que é melhor aqui, porque aqui é a frente da academia, né? Não? Esse vídeo vai ter muito corte, tá, galera? Vou tentar tirar as partes menos importantes. Vamos ver. Oh, o cara do óculos.
What were you thinking gallivanting off into the desert alone at your age? What if you take the bucket, You told not a soul what you were up to, designated nobody to handle your affairs, and left
Calma,
everyone...
cara.
Oh, please, will you stop your yelling?
What do you mean, what other choice? Do you mean to tell me that after all your years of learning, and sagehood no less, the only idea you could conjure up in that white-haired walnut of yours was to shoot off into the unknown like some hothead... A one-man suicide mission, That's the best idea that one of the finest minds of a generation could come up with, is it? It astounds me that you survived the journey, and you're lucky that Bamu...
All right, all right. Honestly, the way you're going off on me, it's like you wish you'd been there to lend him a hand. Does it mean nothing to you that I'm your colleague and former class...
I've got nothing more to say. What's the point of berating an old bag of bones?
What do you mean, bag of bones? I'm a flesh-and-blood hero who, despite his old age, saved our General Mahamatra from being stripped of his... Okay, look. Fine, I admit it, I was in the wrong. How can I make it up to you? What about...
1 month? Try 3.
Inari's master is really laying into Cyrus. Let's
Somos
give
jovens
them a
demais
wide
para nos
berth.
envolvermos.
Professor brought this on himself. Don't pay any attention to him.
Wow, I haven't seen Master get this riled up in a long time. The last time he chewed someone out like this must have been back when I was still a student.
I think I'll go around and update everyone. Tell them the situation's resolved. Want to come with me? We can go for dinner afterwards. My treat.
Makes sense. I'm in.
Comida de graça, comida de graça.
Paimon's coming too. Let's...
Bora. Siga o Cyno. Eu acho que eu vou... dividir esse vídeo em 2. Certo? Porque pra mim tá um vídeo só com 1 hora e 35 minutos. Então eu devo dividir em 2, talvez. Vou ver.
You're back. Well, look who we have here.
Para usar.
Would you mind explaining to me what has been going on this past few days? I heard you all ran off into the desert and got embroiled in a maid.
All taken care of.
That does not answer my question. How could you be so careless? That goes for you as well. Yes, and you too.
Tá bom.
When you run into problems, you really ought to ask for help, you know? I've been around the block. Don't you think it would have made sense to involve me? And let's not forget, I know the desert like the back of my hand.
Now would not be a good time to attempt to argue.
Yeah, right.
It's not the first time that I've had to talk to you about this sort of thing either. You need to learn that there are times when the right thing to do is get a more experienced member of staff involved. Do I make myself clear? Because if...
Kale, please do something.
He's giving me the signal. All right, guess it's time to play...
Say, Madam Farazan, I can see you're pretty upset. But, I was just wondering, remember that time...
Huh? Wait, did I hear that right? Kale, you remember? Wonderful. Well, of course the offer still stands. Come on, Madam...
Boa, Kale, é isso aí.
Poor Kale getting dragged off like that. Also, check out Farazan acting like some sort of...
Kale, cup.
Huh? What?
What do you mean, cup? You need a cup. I can get you a cup.
Oh, it's nothing. Just Master's way of reminding me to stay hydrated while I'm out and about.
Tá bom então, né? Pessoal que tô doido.
For let's reconvene at the cafe. Tainari and I used it while we were in school, and it's become something of...
Oh, that's kind of...
2 people left. Let's bring them along.
Beleza, então. Eu tenho que sair, é isso? Bora. Vamos lá.
Too slow.
Too slow. Ah, o cara ali, ó. Cadê o Reitan? Tá aí também.
Am I hallucinating? Or do I see Kaveh and Al-Haytham engaged in...
We're just reorganizing all the books we used. Look, there's a whole...
There's no rush. Nobody reads these books anyway.
My sincere thanks to you both.
Yes, with your help, we resolved the issue rather swiftly and painlessly. And the outcome was better than we could have hoped for.
Sério, conta tudo que aconteceu.
I see. The Temple of Silence resorted to rather unique means of self-preservation. It explains how they managed to...
And it sounds like they managed to preserve a whole load of ancient documents as well. I'd love to go check those out if I ever had the chance.
That day will come. The Temple of Silence is a hugely important organization, and we'll be sure to maintain good relations with them in the future. Now, as a token of my appreciation, I'd like to treat everyone...
Yeah, sounds great. Although, after the last few days, I don't know if I can handle another call.
Sure. Let's go.
Vou pedir qualquer coisa, cara. Bora pro café. Bora lá. Pô, essa missão foi importante, hein? Contando a história do Cyno, né? O café ali em cima. Achei que era ali naquele negócio ali, mas é aqui. Eu acho que eu nunca entrei aqui não, entrei. Não me lembro não. Vamos ver.
And then, the Traveler just pounced on their opponent and knocked him right out cold!
Foi isso aí que eu fiz.
Then there was Tainari. He put up an amazing fight too! We ended up winning all 3 bouts! Whoa! Part of me wishes I'd been there to see it, but... I'd have been...
A truly edifying account of the events. Bereft of detail, but it has livened up the...
Hey, Paimon included all the juicy details. The Traveler just pounced and then waved their sword like this, then spun around and blocked...
Despite winning 3 bouts in a row, you still ceded the position of leader to him. That's very dignified of you, Cyno.
Of course. Being dignified comes with being a...
I got to be a champion too for once. I've not sparred much with desert folk before. It was a pretty unique
O ambiente
experience.
era bem incrível também, bem cerimonial.
Huge place! It felt like something right out of an epic poem! Imagine this. It was like there was...
Maybe save that one for later, Paimon. Dessert.
Todos aproveitam a companhia de cada e da generosidade do general.
I think that'll do me for today.
Shall we stop off at the House of Dana again before heading home? We should probably finish putting all those books.
My thoughts exactly. See you around.
Falou.
I should get going as well. See you all later. Make sure you...
I need to go say thanks to the Core 30 for their help. Also, Sir Nephis says he wanted to introduce me to some of the Academia's work process.
Kali's come a long way. She's much more confident at dealing with other people these days.
Everyone's a work in progress. You never stop learning.
Yeah, true.
Tá aí. Vai mandar pra outro lugar.
That was good. It feels like everything's finally... Life is all about these moments when you can finally relax and hang out with good friends after a job well done. And also, those desserts Cyno got, they were really good.
Então vamos voltar novamente em algum momento.
Do you three have anything planned for the rest of the day? If not, would you come somewhere with me?
Claro.
That's a secret for now. Wouldn't want to spoil.
Okay, I think I can guess what you're talking about.
Well, now Paimon's curious. Come.
O que será? Vá ao local que Cyno mencionou. O que ele vai postar pra nós? Vai pra cá pra cima mesmo, vamos ver. Tipo, ele vai mostrar o poder dele, como é que tá agora, talvez. Né? Que ele ganhou lá o negócio lá, ó.
Been a while since I last made my way up here.
Oh, look at the...
Need any help?
Não me subestime, na verdade sou campeão de escalar árvore.
It's a nice spot, isn't it?
What a great view! We're so high up, we can see...
Traveler.
Algum
Turn
problema?
around.
Ô louco, ó. Bonito demais.
This is my secret base. Somewhere I only bring my best friends. When I was a student, I used to slip away and climb up here all the time, just to clear my head. I was quite young then. Back then, I had a lot of the same questions that Sethos was asking. Who am I? Why do I have this power? Our gifts help us to find our rightful place in the world. That was my experience. And I'm sure Sethos will figure things out in his own time, too.
Quanto o poder de Havarubis existir, você estará sempre ligado ao tempo do silêncio. Exatamente.
You two really are like brothers.
I feel the same way.
O servidor é o seu verdadeiro campeão.
Of course. I see no...
I still remember one time when we came up here to chat and do our homework. Cyno accidentally dropped a fruit. Luckily, he has fast reflexes, so he caught
louco.
That was the one and only time. Nothing will ever slip through my fingers again.
Those were good times.
You know, Paimon really shouldn't be able to imagine Cyno doing something like that, but for some strange reason...
Then make it stop. There's somebody there. It's Professor Cyrus. You guys carry on without...
Okay.
Huh? Hey, you're not supposed to jump...
Ele foi falar com o professor, vamos ver. O que o professor está pensando? Olha. Fale com o Cyrus. Ei, professor.
Oh my days. I can't believe how stupid I...
Professor, what are you muttering to yourself?
Cyno. Just the man I'm looking for. Guess what I found?
Some old photos?
Can you believe it? This notebook was just sitting in a pile of odds and ends in the Sage's office. I must have forgotten to... I was at the Academia earlier to discuss my workload with Nephis. Oh, time flies. Look how tiny you are in this picture.
You look quite young yourself in that one. Ah, it's this one. I remember that.
Yep. Looks like her work, all right. Who else could have found just the right angle?
And this one. Looks like we're both dozing.
Oh, cheeky girl. Taking secret photos.
Is there something you'd like to say to me, Professor?
Like what? Like, these are good photos, aren't they? Hey, at moments like this, I hardly know where to begin. I can't pretend I'm a good person. But Moon had every reason to despise me. And well...
Don't be ridiculous, you old...
Is that not what you wanted me to say? I've dreamt of that place many times after leaving the desert. Sometimes I've dreamed that I was doing research with him again. Oh, it was one of the happiest times of my... You've matured so much over the years, I know.
Since you're my professor, I should save you some face by not calling you out on all the non-answers you just gave. So, I will...
Good thinking. Take your own advice next time. Seriously, why bully an old man like me? Hey, wait, how did I not notice this one earlier?
Lisa strikes again. Just how...
Look how cute you were when you were little. I remember how well-mannered you were back then, too.
Yeah, and look how serious and professional you used to be.
Oh, I can't compete with you anymore. First you get better than me at the deadpan jokes, and now...
Don't say that.
That's more... Hey, what would you say to meeting up with Lisa again?
I'd like that. Let's find a time and pay her a visit in Mondstadt.
É, a Lisa te mostrou de mesmo.
Add it to my schedule. Let's go next week. Wait, no. Next week is the tomato growing competition. I have...
Or you could find a real hobby, Professor.
Tá aí. Muito boa missão, hein? Muita informação importante sobre ele aqui, né? Mas é isso. Foi top, galerinha. Muito demais. Bom, é o seguinte, galera. Próximo vídeo. Vou pegar tudo aqui para eu esquecer. O que tem aqui? Aqui eu tenho que ir lá pegar lá na... Tá. E aqui... Tá. E aqui acabou a missão. É o seguinte. Deixa eu dar uma olhada aqui. Então, próximo vídeo. Primeiro, nós vamos aqui, ó. Pegar esse ponto de teleporte. Vou deixar até marcado. Depois de pegar esse ponto de teleporte, a gente vai pra Fontaine. É, rapaz. Eu vou daqui. Pegar o barquinho. Tá bom? Então, amanhã a gente vai pra Fontaine. Finalmente, né? Terminamos Sumeru. A maior nação do jogo. É isso, galera. Foi top, missão diária muito boa. A cutscene foi maneira, né? Será que vamos ter mais missões do Cyno? Porque o final ali deixou a... Tipo, a continuação. Uma aventura dele com a Lisa junto também. Quem sabe? Mas é isso, tá bom? Amanhã a gente volta. Esse vídeo vai ser... Provavelmente vai ser dividido em 2. Tá bom? É isso. Porque foi longo. Eu achei que eu tava perto do final da missão, mas não tava não. Ninguém perguntou. Espero que vocês tenham gostado, galera. Se puder, deixar o like. Muito obrigado. E até o próximo vídeo aí.